The arrival of the Invictus. Admiral Telner stood at the observation deck of the Allian Central Command, his four arms clasped behind his back as he gazed out at the vast expanse of stars that belonged to the Allian Empire. For 3 centuries, his people had dominated this sector of the galaxy. Their crimson warships were feared across 1,000 worlds, their technology unmatched, their military prowess legendary. "Another successful conquest, Admiral," said Commander Vexry, approaching with careful deference. "The Caldari system has surrendered without further resistance." Telner nodded slowly, his scaled skin reflecting the starlight. "As expected, the Caldari were always going to break. How many ships did we lose?" "None, Admiral. Their defenses crumbled after we destroyed their orbital platforms." A smile crept across Telmar's face, revealing rows of pointed teeth. The Allian way was efficient: show overwhelming force, crush any meaningful resistance, and rule the survivors with an iron grip. It was a strategy that had built them an empire spanning 17 star systems. "What news of the primitive sectors?" Telnar asked, referring to the distant edge of known space where less advanced civilizations dwelled. Vexry shifted uncomfortably. "There is a development, Admiral. Our long-range sensors have detected something unusual approaching from the direction of human space." Telnar turned, his 4 eyes narrowing. "Humans? They barely have interstellar capability. What could they possibly send that would register as unusual?" "That's just it, sir. It's massive. A ship of some kind, but larger than anything we've ever encountered. It's moving directly toward the Rexan border outpost." "Show me," Telnar commanded. The commander activated the holographic display. A 3-dimensional image materialized between them, a colossal vessel unlike anything the Admiral had ever seen. It was angular yet elegant, gleaming with a metallic sheen that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. The ship's hull was marked with human script and symbols, but what caught Telnar's attention was its sheer size, at least 3 times larger than the Allian flagship. "Impossible," Telnar whispered. "Our intelligence indicated the humans were generations away from building anything beyond rudimentary colony ships. The data is verified, Admiral. This vessel, they're calling it the Invictus, is approaching at sublight speed. It will reach Rexan space within 6 hours." Telnar studied the image with growing concern. The humans were a curious species, one the Allians had monitored from afar, but never considered a threat. They occupied a small cluster of worlds on the galaxy's edge, seemingly content with their limited territory. The Allian High Command had marked them for eventual conquest, but as a low priority. There were far richer prizes to claim first. "Perhaps they've acquired technology from another species," Vexry suggested. "No," Telnar replied, his voice hardening. "No other species would dare trade advanced technology to a potential competitor, not with our protocols in place." The Allian Empire had established strict rules. Any civilization sharing significant technology with non-approved species faced immediate military action. "Dispatch the 7th Fleet to intercept," Telnar ordered. "I want to know what this vessel is, where it came from, and what the humans think they're doing entering our territory with such audacity." "The 7th Fleet is currently unavailable, sir. They're suppressing the Novan uprising." Telnar's secondary heart quickened with irritation. "Then send the 3rd. 16 warships should be sufficient to handle one human vessel, regardless of its size." "Yes, Admiral." As Vexry hurried away, Telnar turned back to the observation window. Throughout his career, he had conquered 6 different species, each believing they were prepared for the Allian onslaught. Each had been wrong. Whatever this human ship represented, a diplomatic mission, a show of force, or something else entirely, the outcome would be the same. The Allian Empire did not tolerate challenges to its supremacy. Captain Helena Chen stood on the bridge of the Invictus, humanity's first Colossus-class warship. At 27 kilometers in length, it was a testament to how far humanity had come in the decades since achieving faster-than-light travel. The bridge hummed with the quiet efficiency of a crew who had trained together for years, preparing for this mission. "We've been detected," reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson, looking up from his console. "Multiple Allian vessels changing course to intercept." Helena nodded, having expected this. "Maintain course and speed. No evasive actions." "Yes, Captain." Strategic Command had been clear about the mission parameters. For too long, humanity had hidden its true capabilities, allowing species like the Allians to believe they were dealing with a technologically inferior civilization. That deception had served its purpose, giving humanity time to build, develop, and prepare. Now it was time for the galaxy to understand the truth. 16 Allian warships on approach, said Commander Aisha Rahman, the tactical officer. Formation suggests standard Allian engagement protocol. "They're predictable," Helena replied. "That's what happens when you've never faced a real challenge." The Invictus continued its steady advance through space, its massive engines pushing it forward with deceptive gentleness. Unlike the Allian vessels with their aggressive red hulls and visible weapon arrays, the Invictus possessed a certain elegance, its gray-blue exterior hiding most of its true capabilities beneath smooth plating. "They're broadcasting, Captain," said Communications Officer Liu. "Standard Allian warning. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded or face immediate destruction." Helena smiled slightly. "No response, Lieutenant. Let them come to us." The Allian ships drew closer, their formation tightening as they prepared to surround the Invictus. Despite being dwarfed by the human vessel, they maintained an aggressive posture, confident in their technological superiority. "They're scanning us," Rahman reported, "attempting to penetrate our hull shielding to assess our capabilities." "Let them try," Helena said calmly. The Invictus's outer hull was composed of quantum-locked metamaterials designed specifically to confound conventional scanning technology. The Allians would detect the ship's size and basic composition, but little else, a deliberate choice to leave them guessing. "Captain, they're broadcasting again," Liu announced. "Visual this time." "Put it through," Helena ordered. A holographic screen materialized at the front of the bridge, revealing the intimidating visage of an Allian commander. 4 eyes set in a scaled face, with a mouth full of pointed teeth currently formed into what they probably considered an authoritative grimace. "Human vessel," the Allian began, his voice translated by the ship's systems. "I am Commander Zarthix of the Allian Third Fleet. You have entered sovereign Allian space without authorization. Power down your systems immediately or be destroyed." Helena rose from her command chair, straightening her dark blue uniform. "This is Captain Helena Chen of the Earth Alliance vessel Invictus. We are on a diplomatic mission to establish formal relations with the Allian Empire." The Allian's upper eyes narrowed. "Diplomatic vessels are required to follow established protocols. Your ship is clearly military in nature. Power down now." "I'm afraid we cannot comply with that request, Commander," Helena replied evenly. "The Invictus will continue to the Rexan outpost as planned. We recommend you escort us rather than impede our progress." The Allian commander's scales darkened with anger. "You are in no position to make recommendations, human. This is your final warning." The transmission cut abruptly. "They're charging weapons," Rahman reported calmly. "Targeting our propulsion systems." Helena returned to her chair. "Defensive protocols active. No offensive measures unless directly authorized." The bridge crew acknowledged her orders with practiced efficiency. Years of simulations had prepared them for this moment, humanity's first direct confrontation with the Allian Empire. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The Allian fleet opened fire simultaneously, unleashing a barrage of energy weapons and kinetic projectiles at the Invictus. The massive ship shuddered slightly as its defensive systems engaged, diffusing the energy attacks across its hull while neutralizing incoming projectiles with pinpoint precision. "Damage report?" Helena asked. "Defensive systems operating at optimal levels. replied Chief Engineer Suarez over the comm. "No damage to report. Their weapons aren't even scratching the paint, Captain." The Allian vessels adjusted their formation, surprised by the Invictus's resilience. They launched a second barrage, more concentrated than the first, focusing all firepower on what they perceived to be vulnerable junctions in the human ship's hull. Again, the Invictus absorbed the assault without visible damage. "They're increasing weapon output to maximum," Rexan noted. "Targeting our forward sections now." Helena nodded. "Let them exhaust their initial options." Strategic command was clear. "We demonstrate, not escalate." For the next 20 minutes, the Allian fleet continued its attack, becoming increasingly desperate as each volley failed to impact the human vessel. The Invictus maintained its course, neither accelerating nor retaliating, a silent giant weathering a storm. "Captain, they're pulling back to regroup," Rexan reported. "Their energy signatures indicate they're preparing to deploy heavy ordnance." "Now we respond," Helena said. "Lieutenant Liu, open a channel." "Channel open, Captain." Helena stood once more, her expression resolute. "Allian vessels, this is Captain Chen. Your attacks are ineffective and unnecessary. The Invictus comes in peace, but we are fully capable of defending ourselves. To demonstrate our seriousness, we will now disable your propulsion systems. We mean you no harm, but we will not be deterred." Before the Allians could respond, Helena nodded to Rexan. "Tactical. Execute demonstration protocol Alpha." "Executing," Rexan confirmed, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The Invictus's hull seemed to shimmer as 16 precisely calibrated energy pulses emerged simultaneously from points along its surface. Each pulse struck an Allian ship with surgical precision, bypassing their shields as if they weren't even there. The effect was immediate. All 16 vessels suddenly went dark, their engines disabled by the human technology. "All targets neutralize," Rexan confirmed. "Their life support and essential systems remain operational, but propulsion and weapons are offline." Helena nodded. "Lieutenant Liu, re-establish communication with the Allian commander." The holographic screen flickered back to life, showing a bridge now illuminated only by emergency lighting. Commander Zarthex's face was a mask of shock and fury. "What have you done?" he demanded, his voice trembling with rage and fear. "How did you?" "Your vessels are disabled but not damaged," Helena interrupted calmly. "Your crews are unharmed. This demonstration was necessary to convey the seriousness of our mission. The Invictus will continue to the Rexan outpost, where we request a formal meeting with Admiral Telnar." "You cannot simply." "We can, and we have, Commander. For too long, the Allian Empire has expanded unchecked, believing itself to be the dominant power in this sector. Today marks the beginning of a new reality. The Earth Alliance extends its hand in peace, but we will not be bullied or threatened." Helena paused, allowing her words to sink in. "Support vessels will arrive within 3 hours to assist your fleet. I suggest you use this time to inform your superiors that the diplomatic landscape has changed." She signaled Liu to end the transmission. "Resume course to Rexan outpost," she ordered, "and inform Strategic Command that Phase 1 is complete." As the Invictus continued its journey, leaving behind the disabled Allian fleet, Helena gazed at the stars ahead. Humanity had hidden in the shadows for decades, building its strength, developing technologies that surpassed anything known in this sector of space. Now it was time to step into the light, not as conquerors like the Allians, but as a force for balance in a galaxy that sorely needed it. The real test was yet to come. Admiral Telnar would not take this demonstration lightly, and the full might of the Allian Empire would soon be directed at humanity. But they were ready. The Invictus was just the beginning. A new galactic order. Admiral Telnar stood rigid before the Allian High Command, his scales pale with the shame of failure. The holographic displays surrounding them showed the disabled Third Fleet, 16 of their most advanced warships rendered helpless by a single human vessel. Explain this catastrophe, demanded High Commander Xerxes, the eldest and most decorated of the Allian leadership. The humans possess technology far beyond our intelligence estimates, Telnar replied, struggling to maintain his composure. Their vessel, this Invictus, absorbed our attacks without sustaining damage. Then it disabled our entire fleet with precision strikes that bypassed our shield systems completely. Impossible, hissed another commander. No species possesses such capability. The evidence is before you. Telnar gestured to the displays. This human ship is unlike anything we've encountered, and according to Commander Xerxes' report, they're demanding a formal meeting. High Commander Xerxes' primary eyes narrowed to slits. The Allian Empire does not negotiate under duress. Deploy the first and second fleets. Destroy this human vessel before it reaches Rexan space. With respect, High Commander, Telnar said cautiously, I believe that would be a mistake. If this single ship could neutralize 16 of our vessels without apparent effort, what might happen if we escalate further? You suggest we capitulate to these humans. Xerxes' voice dripped with disdain. I suggest we gather more information before committing additional forces. This ship claims to be on a diplomatic mission. Perhaps we should hear what they have to say. The chamber fell silent as the High Command considered Telnar's words. For an empire built on military superiority, the idea of restraint was nearly heretical. Yet the evidence before them was undeniable. A single human ship had humiliated their fleet. Very well, Xerxes finally conceded. You will meet with these humans at Rexan Station. Discover their true intentions and assess their full capabilities. But know this, Admiral, if you fail to resolve this situation in a manner that preserves the dignity and authority of the Empire, the consequences will be severe. Telnar bowed deeply. Understood, High Commander. As he left the chamber, Telnar's mind raced. Throughout his career, he had faced many challenges, but none like this. The humans had shattered centuries of Allian military doctrine in a single encounter. What else might they be capable of? The Rexan outpost hung in space like a jewel against the darkness, a massive space station serving as the administrative center for this sector of the Allian Empire. Captain Helena Chen observed it from the Invictus's bridge, noting the increased military presence surrounding the station. 32 warships in defensive formation, reported Commander Raman. They're maintaining distance but tracking our every move. As expected, Helena replied. They're being cautious now. The journey to Rexan had been uneventful following the confrontation with the Third Fleet. Support vessels had reached the disabled Allian ships as promised, providing assistance while making it clear that humanity's technology was as advanced in restoration as it was in neutralization. We're receiving a transmission from the station, Liu announced. Put it through. The holographic display revealed an Allian officer with more elaborate markings than Commander Xerxes had worn, clearly a high-ranking individual. Captain Chen, I am Admiral Telnar of the Allian Imperial Fleet. I understand you wish to meet. Admiral, Helena acknowledged with a respectful,